Hello, IVCMS bases. It's good to see everybody, even though I can't see you, and I should be wearing my mask. I hope you had a great summer. I've been asked to walk you through this piece, Summer Tango. Oh my. So first of all, I just wanted to walk through this phrase by phrase, and then maybe I'll play it at the end. Um, Phrase by phrase meaning probably every 4 measures or so. They look like 2 measure phrases. Doesn't matter. So we're in the key of G major. For those of you who are used to living in flat keys, like most band students, you're going to have to get out of that half position. So no more B flat. Everything's up a half a step. Now, with the exception of a couple measures towards the end in the coda, we won't necessarily have to shift out of our what we call first position. So just to remind us what first position is, let's pick D string, for instance. So open D, E natural with 1, F sharp with 4. Make sure you open your hand up far enough. Otherwise it's going to sound flat. Same thing with the G string. Open G, A with 1, B with 4. So rhythmically, this shouldn't be the most difficult piece. We've got quarter notes, half notes, some eighth notes. I see one slur. Oh my. We remember what a slur is, right? So let's look at that slur really quick. That would be measure 10. Now what they're asking for you to do is to shift. You see that the G natural at the end of measure 9, they ask for you to use your first finger. You're going to have to find that. If you did want to play open G, it could be done that way if you feel more comfortable playing the open string. Otherwise, what they're asking you to do is to run up the D string, get to 1 on G, and play your G's and A's right there. I'll leave that up to you. You know how I feel about ending on an open string. However, you're probably going to want to do that the very last measure. So really quickly, let's jump to that last measure. You see that big G, and then it says LH Pitz, P-I-Z-Z. That stands for left hand pizzicato. So you can practice that by playing your open G for 3 counts. 1, 2, 3. And then with our left hand, if you can see, I'm just going to take one finger and use it to pull the G string. Do you hear that? Kind of sounds like the same thing. It's a common thing for us string players. You know, we've got the bow in our hand, and maybe it's too fast. But knowing the composer, I think this was Leroy Anderson. It's cheeky. It's like something fun to do. I don't know why they ask you to use your 4th finger. You could use all fingers. I prefer my middle finger and my first finger. So you can use both. Now, look at, different spots, especially on your double basses. You might find there's more room underneath the string here to get your fingers underneath to pluck there versus here where there's not a lot of room. You hear it's also a little more nasally of a sound. So plucking here versus plucking kind of up by where your neck joins your bass. All right, anything else in this that I want to look at? So your high notes, for those of you who have studied with me, it's a lot of fragment 2. So if you want to practice one thing before you do anything on this piece, this would go for the figure at measure 1. You see B, C with 1, D with 4. If you remember fragment 2, starting on A with 1, A with 1, B with 4, B natural, shift a half step to C with 1, D with 4. I'd play that up and down. If you want to slur it. Repetition. And if you are also planning on using the D string for your G to A slur, this is in measure 10, why not practice the same thing on the D string? Starting on E with 1, E, F sharp with 4, shift a half step to G with 1, A with 4. Get used to not using your open strings. It's something that you're going to have to make decisions like that later in your playing career. there's many reasons for that. One reason is typically that just that open string might sound a little nasally. Um, Another reason might be vibrato. It's kind of hard to vibrate your open D string without a finger on it. We do have a way of cheating. We'll talk about that at a different time. So to close the D, it just sounds better to play it with vibrato. Same thing over G, any note. So moving back to the piece, let's open our screen back up. So we're going to start, I think that's it. That's really all there is. So a little bit of shifting, you saw that in the coda. There is a little bit of finger switching. Let's talk about measure 22 in the coda. I'll start with the measure 21 that they're asking for E, G, F sharp, G, A, shift to B with 2, which is just like fragment 1 from the open string. Oh my God, let's practice fragment 1. Open G, A with 1, shift to B, which is where your pinky would be, with your second finger on B, C with 4. Once again, C, B with 2, shift to A with 1, open G. My strings are a little bright and nasally. It's because I just got new strings. Oh my. That was the end. And that's what they're asking for. All of your high C's and D's, my goal would be to get to 1 and 4. So C, D, C, D. And that's as high as you have to go. All right, should we play through it? Let's do that. First two measures. First of all, this is a tango. What do you know about tango basses? Tango is a dance. It could be different tempos, but you're probably used to hearing all the stuff in movies. Kind of a sassy dance. We'll leave it at that. So first measure, B with 4. So you do have to shift. One more time. B. Now, one of the hard things, and I see this a couple times, I see this in measure 5. I also see this in measure 9 and measure 13. That they're asking you to start the measure with an up bow. I know we're always trying to use a down bow because that's where the weight of our hand is. Sometimes bowings don't work out, so it's always a good idea to play the entire thing with backwards bowings, right? So you can be able to do both. Measure 5 and 6, starting on E with 1. Come on, string. Easy as that. Measure 7. Still all in one position. It's a lot of string crossing, but she should be fine. The one thing that I'm not observing, don't tell Mr. A, I'm not playing the dynamics that are written. Shame, shame, shame. So instead of learning the piece all the way through, getting your fingerings, getting your rhythms, I think we're old enough to where we can start practicing the actual dynamic while we're learning the piece. So I will start over. First measure, forte. Mezzo forte. Back to forte. Mezzo forte. Oh, excellent. One thing. Well, if you are going to play the D string all the way up, this is measure 10. If you are going to play that on the D string, what they're asking you to do is then at measure 11, switch down to 1 on A on the G string. So you might not want to use the D string at all, just for ease of shifting, making leaps, staying in tune. That's a personal choice. I'll let you make that choice. So back at measure 11, mezzo piano, this is quieter than mezzo forte. Still mezzo, piano. And then we move to the coda after that. Now our dynamic does change at the coda right there at the end. Correct, forte, this is measure 23. So from the coda, but I also have a crescendo. So I'm going to start quiet at the beginning of the crescendo, and I have to crescendo over 2 measures. Don't give it all away right away in one measure. I'll start at 15, mezzo piano. Retake. Louder. 2, 3 hits. Cute piece, huh? All right, what was the other thing? Looking at the piece, keeping my computer screen going. There was one spot, the retake. So if bassist, could you look at measure 16? Do you see that there's a comma right before the coda? Comma for string players, sometimes comma means to actually like lift and breathe, because your fellow wind instruments have to breathe. We want to sound like them and blend. Or in junior high school music, it quite often means, hey, look out, you're going to have to retake. So you end up playing that B. I'm going to start at the beginning of 15. Down, up, down, down, lift, quickly retake. And the game here is to try and do it without like a giant gap in sound. There can be some space. There's going to be space because you have to take the string off from the tip, get back to the frog. So a game you could play is, how quickly can I do that? I'm going to play a B for 2 beats. 1, 2, E. Try it again. B, E. Sound good? All right, let's run through the piece. Fingers crossed. Retake. And then I would use my left hand to dampen at the end without hitting your ring or making a big noise. Quiet. We don't want to hear. Awesome. Dun, 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 dun. I think that's it, basses. Good luck on your auditions. I can't wait to see you all soon. I miss you. Good luck. Bye.